Hello, hello, eBay friends. You have landed on episode number 118 of eBay the Right Way. Today's date is June 21st, 2023, and my guest is Rebel in Tennessee. No announcements this week, so let's hear from Rebel.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back. We have Rebel Reseller with us today, who I reached out to her because her name kept popping up on my Facebook group, talking about your YouTube channel and your whole business. So I thought, what a great opportunity to talk to you. And for those that don't know you, now they can know you and visit your YouTube channel. So how are you doing this morning?
I'm good. Had to get all my work done this morning, and I'm here now.
I know, me too. I was pushing it to get all my shipping done before we started because it's 10 a.m. on the East Coast. And where are you located?
Tennessee, so the East Coast.
Okay, so what part of Tennessee?
We are right on the corner between Kentucky, Virginia, all of that. So I'm like an hour from Virginia, an hour from North Carolina, just right in the beautiful mountains of East Tennessee.
Mountains. Good. Mm-hmm. I lived in Tennessee from 1994 to 2000, and we lived, I guess that was closest to Dayton, near Chattanooga.
Okay. Yes.
Just barely over the line. We were Eastern time, and our next door neighbors were Central time because you just went by the time wherever you worked.
Like us going to Nashville, the time changes. So
right. And that area, there was a lot of farmers and country folks that had been there forever, and they would call it fast time and slow time. So fast time was East Coast and slow time was Central. So a lot of things to learn when you move to a new area.
Yes.
So, okay, now we know where you are. And let's start off with what got you to eBay. When did you start, and what was that event that caused you to jump into eBay?
You know, I've been on eBay 24 years.
Oh my gosh.
Since 1999.
Uh-huh.
And I was watching Rosie O'Donnell, and she started talking about eBay.
That's where I saw it first too. Yeah.
Yep. So I just decided I'm going to get on there, and I sold a few things from my house. And then right after that, I started my second group of kids. I have adult kids, and then I have newly adult kids. So then when you have kids, you know, you just go out to yard sales and thrift stores and looking for stuff. And I was like, wait, I can sell this stuff. And so like in 2000 up until like 2004, I really started yard selling and going to the thrift stores. And just kind of did that for years, just kind of growing, but not growing really, really big. And then remarried and decided that we were going to take this to a full-time level together. So that was in 2012. We both quit our jobs. You know, we had our own careers, but then we thought, you know, let's do this. We can do this. I had been making enough at that point to make more than I was as a teacher. And then I worked for the state for a little while, and I was making more than I was as a state worker. And we just kind of went on a leap of faith. And all of a sudden, I started really sourcing to grow, to, you know, support us. And then when 2020 hit, I got scared. And I was like, I really need volume. So then we bought a trailer, and we started going to the bins, like in Indianapolis and St.
like
Louis.
Road trips and filling it up.
Bill a trailer, and then I have, you know, 2 or 3 months of stuff plus our local stuff. And I'm at 10,000 listings.
Oh my gosh, that is a lot.
It is a lot.
Going back to 2020, that was one of my best years ever.
Same.
Because, you had the stuff, the stores weren't open, and Amazon was out of stock on so many things, or retailer websites, Kohl's, Walmart, whatever, they were out of stock, but you have all of us eBay sellers with this stuff at our fingertips in our homes or, close by. So we were not out of stock.
Mm-mm.
I was surprised how many I was shipping so much, and it was a lot of clothing. And then I started looking at athletic clothing because everybody's ready to get outside.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just one of those, yes, it was a world of chaos, but if you look for the opportunities, you can find them. So what kind of things were you selling during that time?
Same thing I've always sold, toys.
That's your specialty.
That's my specialty. I sell a lot of toys, but I have kind of focused into, believe it or not, vintage plush. That is my go-to, my love, the thing that I really look for. But when you're a plush seller, you realize some things you got to wait for that right buyer.
Well, and it's so it's not a coincidence that you just said that, because yesterday I sold. Do you remember Showbiz Pizza?
Oh, big time.
I had the purple monster mascot, the Showbiz Pizza guy. It's called the Monster or something, and it sold for $100.
Yes,
and I had been jiggling the price to see what it would sell for, but it was $3, and it is the ugliest, scariest looking thing. Like, I hope it's not being given to a child. I hope it's a collector that's like our age, that's just collecting stuff from the 80s. But you're right. I think I've had it almost a year, and I'm like, at some point, somebody's going to want this. And, when you get those $100 sales, I don't care how long you've been doing eBay, they're exciting.
Yeah, I'm happy with $25 and up sales. You know what I mean? I do a lot of bread and butter, which that's kind of like my thing, $8 to $12. I sell a lot in that dollar range.
And it adds up.
It does. I say that all the time. My husband last year calculated everything that I sold that was $8 or less. Now, I don't do free shipping, so, shipping is more, but everything that was $8 or less paid my mortgage for an entire year.
And when you look at the big picture like that, it is worth it.
It is.
It is, because some days that's all you get is a $10 sale. And I had one today. It was like, yeah, I've had that tie for 2 years. You can have it for $10. Please take it.
Yes. We just recently, I never used to put dates in my listings to kind of remind me how long it's been listed. Well, we started that this year. Mm-hmm. So now I'm able to, okay, that was listed before this year. Let's just get it gone. I don't, as long as it's somewhat reasonable, get it gone, move it along.
Do you end your listings and restart them?
I do.
10,000 listings, you do a little bit of that every day?
I do it every day. I have an alarm on my phone for 5:00. And then I go start looking to see, okay, when is everything starting to end? And then I kind of wait a little while because I don't want everything happening at 5. But I do. Right. I started that probably in 2021 when, we had that whole fourth quarter that just seemed to have gotten messed up. And I started it then, and I've still been doing it, but I don't tweak, it's bulk edit and I do 100 at a time. But this month, June, because now I have dates on everything, I'm going to start marking down my old stuff, like 10% every quarter or so, because, I am sourcing way more than I can deal with right now. And I need stuff to move, and this old stuff, I wasn't dealing with it. I used to be that listed and forget it person. And and I can't be anymore. I've got to get my stuff moving a little
you've got to
faster.
have that momentum just all the time. And I'll bet even with 10,000 listings, you might have a day here and there where you don't sell anything. Do you?
No, I sell daily, but
Okay.
there's some. I had my first under $100 day this past week, which was like, that's not me. But yeah, I when you have 10,000 listings, you've got just quantity on your side. But there's some days, I think like today, I have 11 going out. So.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry I made that assumption. I figured like maybe even these big sellers have slow days, maybe not 0 days, but so is all of that inventory in your home, or do you have a storage facility?
We built a building when we bought our property. So I have a 30 by 50 building, and my stuff's probably 3/4 of the building. And then we've got our storage for camping stuff and all of that.
Do you have the highest store subscription?
Not yet. Well, when they changed all those numbers, I actually went down to the premium store. But I'm getting close now. I think it's like if you have 12,000 listings,
Okay.
I think then you need to bump up. It's more cost effective to jump up. And that's my goal. I want to be back to an anchor store.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Good for you. Very good. Now, how long did it take you to get to 10,000?
Well, I specifically remember in 2018, my son got injured, and I was in the hospital with him for a couple of weeks. And right after that, I hit 4,000 because I remember making a post in one of the Facebook groups that finally I had hit 4,000 listings. So that was in 2018. And so now it's just been, when I started my YouTube channel, I think I was up to 7,000, which that was 2 years ago. And now I'm at 10,000.
I didn't realize you had so many listings. So that's just a bonus for the listeners to know that this is possible. And you have to make it a priority and focus on it, because that is a lot of work.
I do full days. I'm an early bird, so I like to get up between 5 and 6. And that's when I do my listings. The day before, I prep everything. I use a spreadsheet. And so I write everything down, the weights, where I stored it, all of that is the day before. And then when I get up in the morning, I sit with my cup of coffee and I list for like an hour and a half or so. And then I do some cross listing. I do some file maintenance type stuff, and then I go ship. And then I spend the rest of the day, usually till about 4 or so, processing for the next day or sourcing on our sourcing days, stuff like that. But I put in probably 10 or 12-hour days, but I love it. I love it. I'm former military, so I'm used to just working.
Being busy and productive. Busy is kind of a catch-all word, because you can be busy, but not really being productive.
Yes. And I have those days. I have them. I get sidetracked on YouTube or just don't feel like working. That happens every once in a while too. But luckily I bank, not that I make drafts because I'm not a draft person, but I always have listings ready to go.
I feel like if I've done the work, I might as well put the item out there. Like, I don't want to hold it for later because somebody could buy it in 5 minutes. That happens all the time. So I'm on the fence about doing drafts, saving listings, scheduled listings, that kind of thing, because I always have access to a computer. So I don't have to bank listings for later. I know some people do. They have a full-time job or they're traveling and the internet's not reliable. So, but I feel you on that. If you're going to do the work, you might as well put the item out there.
Yep. And, I probably process, I don't know, sometimes 30 40, 50 things a day, but I only list about 20 or 25. So that gives me, when we're sourcing on the weekends and stuff, I try to list every single day.
Right. And that does help the algorithm. eBay likes a busy store. You get more traffic. So now, what pushed you into toys only?
I have 5 boys. My last 3, my youngest 3, my youngest just graduated high school yesterday.
Oh,
so,
congratulations. You made it.
I made it. Now, I have a stepson, but we've homeschooled him. That was kind of the other reason why we started in 2012. It was his year of kindergarten, or 2012. He started kindergarten. So we homeschooled him and started out with all 4, but then it dwindled to 3. And then, because they wanted the high school experience. And then my last one that just graduated was an online school. He just, he was into cheerleading and all of this other stuff, and just kept getting sent home during that whole pandemic stuff. And
oh, right. Okay.
So he just decided, I'm over that. And he's been online school for 2 years. Finally, though, yesterday.
So you had 5 boys, which means you had a whole bunch of toys.
Yes, tons of toys. We were always buying, Imaginext and just all kinds of action hero figures, and then they would quit playing with it, and I was like a toy room full of toys. So I started with that kind of stuff, and then I got into a little bit of retail arbitrage with, the year Elmo came out.
Right.
I bought all them out, and but over the years, I've gone to the bins so many times, and nobody grabs the plush. Nobody. So then that just kind of became my thing, where I would fill entire shopping carts overflowing with plush.
And oh, yeah, I think I've seen you in there.
Yes, probably.
Yeah. I feel that too, because I started delving into plush probably 2 years ago. And I was just shocked how much people pay. And I've got it narrowed down to certain things, and we can talk about that. But I love bringing them back to life, cleaning them, doing the OxyClean, sewing up the little holes, whatever it is, because especially the vintage ones are very meaningful. There's an emotional attachment when it's a replacement. And I have never had a plush returned. Have you?
No, I don't get very many return. Now, we started doing clothes 2 years ago, and that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
Forfeit.
Well, you don't do clothes now. Did you transition away?
We do a little bit of everything. About 6,000 items is toys.
Okay.
But my husband was like watching other YouTubers that do clothes. And he was like, it's his thing. That's his board right here. He does clothes. I list them, but he does all of the pictures and measurements and all of that. So but we don't have that many listings. Maybe 1,000 listings is clothes. But yeah, if I have a return, it's clothes.
Well, and clothes is like damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing, because the thrift store is pretty much 75% clothing. So it's available, but I wouldn't say it's a high return category. It's just they're going to happen. And a lot of times the buyer won't even make the purchase if you don't take returns, because that's the world of clothing. If you order from Kohl's or Target or, any clothing online, you can return it if it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people don't want to try on clothes in the store. They don't have time, or the store doesn't have the variety that you can find on eBay. All those reasons. So you have to be able to live with that. I think I get like 2 returns a month. And usually it sells again pretty quickly, and sometimes for more. So
I don't get a lot. Probably not much more than you, maybe 3 or 4 a month. But usually it's just, he's decided he likes jeans. So, jeans are one of those things. Mostly people know their size.
Right. And there are a lot of jeans in the thrift store.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do pants. Unless they're athletic, like leggings or something. I just hate photographing. And jeans get kind of boring to me because they kind of all look the same.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, give me a pretty little plush doll or something, a sequiny top or something that's, pretty to work with. I just got burned out on pants because like even the Chico's Travelers black pants, like they all look the same and it got boring.
I make him do all that little stuff.
Yeah, that's good. That was going to be one of my next questions was, do you have any help that you pay or is it just the two of you?
It's just the two of us. Now, I think before 2018, we did like 4 years of Amazon where we did FBA. Mm-hmm. And that was a all hands on deck job just with the pre-packing everything. So I was paying our 3 kids to help us make the bundles and get them all boxed. But now it's down to just my husband and I, because like I said, my boys are actually adult now and they've got real jobs as they think. But now I have a stepson who's 15 and I asked him while we were on vacation a couple of weeks ago, are you ready to get a job? He's like, no, but I think I might work for you for a while. So I'm going to have him be my picture taker and just maybe cleaner of all things, tester of toys, put my Legos together, all of that kind of stuff. I think that's his plan, is to do that for a while.
I think most sellers with kids of an old enough age to help do try to get them involved because you've got these able-bodied people right there. You can put stickers on things and you can package things. And I did the same thing with mine when they were like middle school. It's like figuring out what part of the job they could do and figuring out how to pay them. I ended up paying by the piece because they'd get distracted and you don't ever want to pay them by the hour because then they'll work really slow. And it's more motivating to pay them by the piece or by the job.
Yes.
I'll give you $10 if you do this pile of stuff over here, whatever it is. So, and some kids are into it and some are totally not.
He says he's going to learn how to do my shipping for me later because our goal is to semi-retire and travel, in a couple of years. So, but source, go see. I grew up in Europe.
Oh, really?
Yes. I'm an Army brat. So I grew up overseas. And then when I came back to the States when I was 17, I immediately joined the military. So then I was still not really in the United States. I had it rough. I was stationed most of my time in Hawaii.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that.
So then finally I didn't retire from the military. I got out and after 13 years and moved here to be near my parents. I was going through a divorce and I want to see the United States. So that's the goal, in a couple of years. And then he said he'll be my shipper by then. So then I won't have to do vacation stuff because it is tough getting your store going in the momentum of it after you've been on vacation.
Oh, I understand. Yeah. That's why I don't take them very often.
We just got back. My husband and my son just got their 2nd degree black belt. So we had to go to Connecticut for their test. So that was like 2 weeks ago. So I made it a sourcing trip. We went to Connecticut and then we drove to Rochester where my oldest son lives, hit the bins there, hit some flea markets. But my store has not recouped yet. It just seems like, come on.
Yeah, that's tough. But you'll have your son in place so that it can just continue seamlessly without you.
That's the plan.
Even if you're somewhere with not great internet, I'm pretty sure texting can happen anywhere, even if you use Facebook messaging or WhatsApp. I mean, there's ways around it. So you're never really completely cut off. You can, if he has questions, he could reach you to ask. So
Yeah.
I like that plan. So would you be willing to share some tips about selling toys, like what you look for, highest profit items, things you love to find?
We'll be back after a quick break.
This show focuses on the intersection between educational research and parental actions. In each weekly solo episode, I go beyond the K-12 public education research theories and studies to provide boots-on-the-ground actions that you can take immediately. I illuminate the blind spots that can trip up parents of color as they navigate the complexities of the K-12 public education system while seeking the best educational outcomes for their children.
I tell my viewers a lot of time, baby stuff with rattles, definitely check them. And again, take that one step forward. If they are made out of terry cloth, like the washcloth material, probably big. Or there's a thing called waffle weave.
Yep.
Those are usually very good. I like brands like Eden. They sell very well. But then I have brands like I love Dakin. I love Applause, the vintage stuff. But again, those are kind of long tail, but I have good success with them. I just had a major haul from, and as I went to an estate sale and saw all of this plush and nobody was buying it. I mean, it came from somebody who had collected tons of plush. So we made a deal, and then I ended up getting to go to the home because the home was too small to have the estate sale. And I'm not kidding. There was plush hanging from the ceiling because there was no place to put this stuff. So I bought tons of it, and a lot of it was Dakin and Applause, which I love. You know, I am not a Squishmallow person. I will buy them, but I do not like them. But
I think
I like,
maybe that's fizzling out.
I think so, but like I just got approved. I just did my onboarding yesterday for Whatnot, and I have been kicking and screaming not to do it, but there's an entire channel that's just, or a whole category that's just for Squishmallows on there.
And
So
how does Whatnot work?
It's a actual auction. You know, you're right there on the camera showing your stuff and selling. So I'm going to try it. It's more my, I don't do well with change. So this is my husband. Like, come on, you can do this. The YouTube channel was him, just years of saying, come on, we can do this. And now I love the channel, but so I'm going to try Whatnot. But, again, it's live and I don't like live. So.
Yeah, we talked about that before we started recording, that neither one of us really likes live because there's just too many things that are out of your control, whether it's comments or technology, or I'm not really comfortable with that. I know a lot of people do great with it. They just jump on there and go with the flow and do their thing. But I'm more of a polish it up before you put it out there kind of person. It's like,
delete the errors, which my husband's infamous. He's my editor for all my videos, and he's becoming the favorite, I think, because he either interjects comments in the video or he leaves stuff in when I say, Robert, delete that. Robert, make sure you delete that. And he'll leave it in. So, but yeah, it's
okay. Well, let's talk about your YouTube channel since we are on that topic. And what is the name of it?
The Rebel Reseller.
And Rebel is your real name?
Rebel is my birth given name.
Is there a story there?
I tend to tell people that I'm the product of the 60s, which is the truth, but not. My mother's high school mascots were the Rebels. And she said if her firstborn wasn't a boy, because he would have been named after my dad, she wanted to name the firstborn Rebel. So that was me. And then all my sisters, I have 3 sisters, they all got an R first name.
Okay. Okay, so that answers that question. And when did you start your YouTube channel?
2 years. April was 2 years.
And what was your motivation for doing that?
Nobody else really focused on toys to the extent that I do. So that was the start of it, and being a larger seller and just saving the vintage plush. You know, I talk about it so much that now I love when I get the comments. Like I had one, I think this morning, that they had found a Fisher-Price cozies, and they were like, I would have never picked that up except for you. And, you know, I really want the nostalgia of the vintage stuff to continue. Not my son
mentioned that particular one, because that's a waffle weave.
Mm-hmm.
And come in, there's like a bear and a cat and different animals. My son had the blue one, whatever that is.
I think it's a cat. Somebody just mentioned that.
So he had that as a baby. I still have it. I will never sell it. But I did find the yellow one, and that sold for over $100. So I like to shop by texture. Like you said, a lot of the Eden dolls or plush are the terry cloth.
Yes.
There's a bear that's like has a clown suit on, and he's the most coveted one, sells for the most.
The little lambs, there's a pink and a blue lamb that kind of laying on its belly. They're the waffle weave, and I think they're pink and blue. Those are like $100.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I found it was a cow. It wasn't the Fisher-Price cozies. It was the Play School Snuzzles. I found the cow, and he sold for $250 in hours. As soon as I put it up there, and it sold for full price, no offer. So after those things started happening, I was so convinced. I'm like, okay, I'm looking through all this plush. It may take me 45 minutes, but I'm looking at every single one, because those little ones, they fall to the bottom. And a lot of people are just buying the plush for their dogs to tear up or whatever. And, I'm like, no, there's gold in there. Don't leave any stone unturned, because I can't tell you how many times I've found those valuable ones at the bottom of the bin or the rack or whatever. They just fall down there, and people tend to skim the surface if they're just looking for dog toys or stuff for their kids or whatever. So we're looking at every single one.
Yes, I know they can't see it, but my whole wall is Fisher-Price, and I have a cozy up there, and I have a lot of the puffalumps. Those are big. I'm trying to get a sampling of a lot of different things that are Fisher-Price. But if people go back to watch some of my first videos, I started with one thing on this wall, and now I'm going to have to extend it. And I'm waiting for my 18-year-old to move out, because I think I'm going to move my room, my whole studio up to his room. And then I have walls that I can put all my Fisher-Price stuff on.
Yeah. I mean, for the listeners, behind her looks like a toy store. It's just, there's all kinds of stuff back there. So back to what to look for. So you've got the vintage plush. What else are some of your favorite go-to items?
I think one of my best sales this probably year was Sanrio. It was a Kashi Kibuta pig, and there was none. I could find nothing anywhere on it. So I threw a big old price on it. I think I listed it for $300, and it was listed maybe 2 years, and it sold for like $270, because I just have to wait for that person who understands the rarity of that. And I actually think it went international. So, but Fisher Price is like my first and foremost. Sesame Street, Winnie the Pooh, even though they don't sell very well. For me, it's nostalgia again, because one of my kids' nurseries was Winnie the Pooh. Another one was Care Bears. If you ever pick up a plush and it has like a rattle in the head and it's a cat, definitely grab that. Those are called kitty kittens. Look them up. They're
Okay.
definitely...
And so just to backtrack, Sanrio is the parent company of Hello Kitty.
Yes.
But they have many other characters.
Many. The Keroppi pig. There's just a whole series of those. My Twins, I think, is one of them. Just being from Hawaii, Sanrio was big over there. My ex's little cousins just loved them. So anytime I see them, I definitely grab them.
Do you think it's the connection to Japan?
I don't know, but they're cute and they're anime looking. And I think that's what a lot of the younger people are looking for. Just, they're unique, kind of like us with Lisa Frank, even though Lisa Frank is really, really big. For a lot of us, that's nostalgic. And, there's a whole new group of people who are finding interest in them again.
Do you ever use the word kawaii, Kawaii?
I haven't, but I have seen it. I don't understand enough of the term. Like, I'm not even one of those people who use Y2K with clothes. I don't understand it.
Well, kawaii is actually a Japanese word that means cute or cuteness. So it just explains like some of the Squishmallows and then your Hello Kitty stuff and anything that is, has like a human face on it, but it's a cute little, like it's a popsicle with a face, whatever.
Right.
That's a buzzword these days. So if you go on eBay and do Terapeak, look up that word for completeds, you'll see how often it's used. It's used for clothing, plush, hair accessories, bedding. It's just kind of a buzzword. So I don't know if people
have to check into it
for it or if they're just putting it on there because they know what it is. But yeah, there's always new buzzwords coming up that we got to learn. So anyway, back to your YouTube channel. What kind of videos do you do?
We usually put out 5 a week.
Wow, that is a lot of work.
Yes, it is. Yes, it's a lot of work. On the weekends, I put out 2 what solds. One is like Monday through Thursday, and then the second one is Friday through Sunday. And I just kind of show a variety. I'm on 4 platforms, but eBay is my biggest and mostly my primary. But I do cross list to Mercari, Etsy, and Poshmark. But I don't make a whole lot of sales there. So we do those 2. And then usually I do 2 or 3 hauls because right now I'm getting so much stuff that I've got to do something. And I try to show most of everything that I pick up in my hauls. And I spend the time to show the tags. I show, I'll explain why I picked it up, stuff like that. So I do probably like a 20, 25-minute video of just really compressed a lot of information at once of the things that I'm picking up. And then I've been doing probably every other week, I do what I call a brand video, and I'll either pick, a plush brand like Eden or Dakin or Build-A-Bear, and I'll make a video on it. And, or these last few that I've done is I've picked characters. So super wide items that people haven't normally heard of if they don't have children or children are older or much younger, but, Jim Henson and Wow Wow Wubsy, just all of these characters that I know the prices are just kind of getting higher and higher on them. And I showed a bunch of solds and just give them examples of all the different things, for Care Bears. You can get your vintage Care Bears, but some of the more contemporary ones might be worth even more, puzzles and sheet sets. And just, I give an example of a whole lot of stuff like that.
Okay.
So
there's learning mixed in, that's for sure.
I do lots. I feel like mine is a lot of education, things that I'm looking for. I always, for a lot of the stuff that I share, I do show sold comps. Mm-hmm. So it's just not me saying, oh yeah, here I picked up, this tie beanie bear and it's selling for $10,000. Well, no, it's not. I do have a video on tie beanies and
that's one reason I reached out to you was I did watch some of your videos and you do have that learning aspect, which it's really all about time. I don't know if you've felt this, but over the past few years, there's just been so many eBayers, resellers coming to YouTube, and there's just no way to watch everything. There's just too much content. And a lot of people started that in 2020. We had nothing to do. Like they started a YouTube channel with instruction or whatever. So you're competing against other YouTubers for views because there's only so many hours in a day. And I know a lot of people listen. They don't necessarily watch. They're not sitting there watching. They're listening while they're doing other things. But the way I look at it is if I'm going to spend my time watching or listening to anything, I want it to benefit me somehow. That's what I'm looking at is like, well, teach me something. How can I make more money? What do these things sell for? And what did you sell them for? And all that kind of stuff. So I like that about your channel is that you do have that follow-up. As a viewer, a consumer of content, there's certain things I like, and it's usually some information that can help me do something better.
Right. Yeah. I want people to, Plush can be one of those things. You can waste a whole lot of money on it if you don't know what you're looking for. Mm-hmm. And believe me, I've walked that path, and I still do a whole lot of bread and butter stuff. And, I buy a lot of Dandy and Kelly Toy and, but, I want people, if you're only going to focus on certain things, then, listen and figure out the things that I can show you they are selling, and they're selling for, whatever dollar value you have your mind set on, then, focus there. But I get a lot of comments about, I wouldn't have picked this up if I hadn't heard you say it.
Right.
So
that's very helpful and beneficial. So back to puzzles. Do you put them together? Do you count the pieces?
My husband and I love to do puzzles. So you probably can't see it. I have a huge wall right here. I love White Mountain puzzles. Mm-hmm. Just absolutely love them. And I buy them anytime I can. We always have a puzzle going upstairs. We're working on a from the 1990s puzzle right now. And, it has Tamagotchis and tie beanies and O.J. Simpson. Just all of this stuff is one big hodgepodge on this puzzle. And then I sell them. They don't sell for a whole lot, but we enjoy. We probably put, depending, like he just had a puzzle I couldn't stand. It was all browns and I just couldn't get into it. So it took him probably over a month to put it together himself. But now every night I go up there and I help him on this other puzzle. So we love puzzles.
And then you take a picture of it completed. So you can say all the pieces are there.
Yes. Or I pitch
you
it
on that because I like puzzles too, but my gosh, it takes me forever because it's just me. We used to have a puzzle on the kitchen table every summer. We, when kids said they're bored, okay, you go sit down and work on the puzzle. Like I had all these stations set up for them to do projects so that if they said they were bored, they were going to get something to do. But I have sold them without putting them together, not counting the pieces because it might say 1,000 pieces, but when it's assembled, there's 1,005 or there's 995. Like it's never really exact.
No, it's a rounded number.
It says so. Even if you count the pieces, you're not 100% sure they're all there because it's not that number on the box. But I know a lot of puzzle sellers, they love that, and you got to sell what you love, and they'll work it first and take a picture of it. And I commend you for that, because I guess I don't have the patience right now. There's too many things distracting me. It's like, I got to list that stuff. Oh, I got to make a podcast. Oh, it's time for another video, and my online school and all the stuff, and it's just, at some point I'll probably get back to it. I like reading, and I do like doing puzzles. So I did see those back there on your shelf. So do you have a specific sale that you remember that was a high dollar puzzle sale?
Yes. And it's funny, my husband, of course, reminds me of all the times that I'm like, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. It doesn't look good. And then I go there. But we had a sale at a VFW in our town probably a year ago. And I was just like, this doesn't look like it's anything. It was small, but I think there were 2 puzzles there. And I think they were sealed. They were brand new. And I think I paid $3 each. And it was like this, I don't know, scantily clad woman sitting on a dragon, but it was just really ornate. And I sold it probably, I know it was over $100. So probably closer to $200.
Do you remember the brand?
I don't.
I know some Ravensburgers are high dollar, and then the wooden, like Liberty or Stave, any of the wooden ones, because they're so expensive to make.
But it was very interesting looking.
And that's what sells, something that is different. And you, having done eBay for over 2 decades, what's unusual. You're like, wow, I've never seen anything like this before. And the newer seller doesn't have that experience to draw on because they just haven't had enough sales to know what's unusual. But like back to the plush, like, wow, I've never seen anything like this. It's probably worth something. You see the brown teddy bears, just hundreds of them, or the cheap, crappy Walmart stuff, but that could be valuable to somebody. You never know.
Walmart is actually a really good brand. Or
I know Plush. They sell that Hug Fun brand. Is there something else to look for?
They have Spark, Create, Imagine. They have a series of dogs that are like, there's one that looks like a Rottweiler. It's probably the best one. $20-ish. There's a tan dog. There's a gray dog. I do really well with the vintage Walmart because they were so out, most kids back in our age, our parents went to Walmart and they shopped at Walmart or they shopped at Kmart. Mm-hmm. And when they're trying to buy nostalgia, or, they want to replace a lost toy, or they want to give a toy to their child that they had from their childhood, it's Walmart and it's Kmart. It's Rite Aid, all of the companies that just were kind of like dollar type stores back in the day. It's not dollar anymore, but
yeah, like the Plush was an afterthought. Like I know the CVS Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer Spotted Elephant that's definitely one to look for. And the dentist and all the little characters from that. But some of these things that were only made for one season. And when I said cheap, crappy Walmart, what I mean is the mass-produced stuff that it doesn't even look good. It just looks like it was made very poorly.
Yes.
I'm not talking about the vintage because that's a different category. But when you look through all of that, it's amazing how much you remember.
Mm-hmm.
But I find brands, especially Loveys, all the time that I've never heard of. So I either just get them if they're 50 cents, or I look them up because it just, it doesn't matter that it's not Fisher Price or Play School or any of those brands that we know, those big companies. It could be something that you've never heard of, but yet there's a demand for it because it is so scarce.
Even some of the loveys that came from like the dollar store, I think Swiggles or something, I do really well with them because there was a limited run and a limited availability at the dollar store or, any of those. I had one the other day. I showed it in my haul video and I'm like, this is probably bread and butter. Well, when I went to do comps, it was selling for like $25 and it was just a brand I'd never heard of. So, I pick up most loveys unless they're just dirty, really dirty, stain dirty, but I sell a lot of loveys and most of them are bread and butter, but I have some that I sell for $30, $40, $50. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have most of mine priced at $29 to $39, unless it's something just really rare and exciting. But when you're only paying 50 cents or $1, and you do that, well, for the smaller sellers, 10, 20 times a month, you probably do it hundreds of times a month, but that adds up. And that's the case of you make your money when you buy because you're getting them so cheap. And I don't care what people say about thrift store prices going up. They can't price up everything. They won't sell anything. Yeah, we get the leather coats and the boots and the jewelry and stuff like that. But, how high can they go on the Plush and the Loveys and still sell any of it?
And they don't. They overprice the Boyd's Bears and some of
they think those are valuable.
They do. And I'm like, but then we went on this trip to Connecticut. I went to a thrift store called Red, White, and Blue. That was an amazing place. And I was picking up, most of the plush were in huge bags for $3.99. And some of the individual ones were like $1.99. But I was picking up stuff, for $1 and $2 that were worth $50 and $60. I picked up a doll for $5 that I'm going to list for $180.
Nice.
They can't know everything.
Well, and they can't survive as a business if their prices are too high. I mean, it's like fast food.
Mm-hmm.
I'm serious. What is going on? I don't eat a lot of it, but stop at Wendy's for a hamburger and it's $6 now. I'm just not doing that. There's a line that consumers are going to draw. Like, how much will you pay? And you know what? That's when you go a different direction, or you figure out a different product line, or you start going to shop at different stores or do something different because, good luck, Goodwill, putting $10 on jeans and $10 on bathing suits and stuff like that. People just aren't going to pay it. This is a thrift store. Yeah. It's not Macy's.
Yeah, I can't even shop at our Goodwill. It's very small, and most of their plush are $4 and $5 and $6 for, nothing brands. So we do our sourcing trips, and so I don't really have to hit thrift stores.
Right.
I just hit estate sales and yard sales, and then we do our trips. So
I don't want to get off on the whole Goodwill greed thing, but I mean, their stuff's donated. They're not paying for this inventory. So why are the prices so high?
Most thrift stores for me are.
I feel like it's going to swing back the other way at some point. Just they're going to realize that they're not making money on volume anymore. And a lot of them have stopped the color of the week and the dollar day thing and all these ways that we were getting items cheaper. A lot of them have stopped doing that. So
ours never did.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Okay. All right. Well, we're getting towards the end here. So I have 2 more questions.
Sure.
Which this is a new one I'm going to start asking my guests. What are you reading?
People are amazed. I love zombie apocalypse.
Okay.
I have read hundreds and hundreds of them. I'm currently reading, well, it's just called Apocalypse. I think one of my favorite authors, his name is Sam Sizabeth. And there's another one, Mark Tufo, and another one that's John O'Brien. But I read probably, 8 or 10 books a month. It's like when I'm done working, I have a hard time turning work off.
Mm-hmm.
So I go get on my phone. I read on my phone, which I have a Kindle on there, and I do the Kindle Unlimited. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I unwind in the evenings is I read my zombie apocalypse.
You just go into another realm.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. And then the last question is, you started with zero. You have built this business to 10,000 items over 24 years. You started from zero. What kind of advice do you have for somebody who's just wanting to get into this and wants to be like you, wants to be a really big seller with a lot of inventory?
Start with things you know. Don't try to go into a niche that you know nothing about. If you like a certain brand of clothing, start with clothing. If you've got young children and you've kind of started, being in the toy store all the time, start with toys, but definitely don't look at sold. I mean, don't look at what something is listed for. You're going to find that $10,000 Princess Di beanie and just really get disheartened when you realize it's not worth that much. But definitely check solds, check Terapeak before you spend a whole lot of money. Don't be like me at the bins and just grabbing everything because, I'm okay with the $8 sales, but some people need their inventory to move faster and make money right away to reinvest in their business. So start with something you like, something you enjoy purchasing and learning about more. And watch YouTube videos, but just be careful who you watch.
Well, and 10,000 items is a lot. That's intimidating. That can take over your house pretty quickly. But on the other hand, like you said, when you go sourcing and you buy hundreds of items on a weekend trip, as long as you're disciplined with listing, and I think it helps that you have two people doing this. It's not just you as a lone wolf. And you're disciplined, you can get to a high number pretty quickly. If you just focus and make that your goal is, by the end of the month, I'm going to have 500 items. And then the next month, I want to have this many items. And it's frustrating because as you're building, things are selling. So it's like a monkey trying to climb out of a well. You get ahead. Oh, I hit my goal. And then the next day, 20 things sell. And that's not a bad thing.
It's a good thing.
It takes a while to build it, but you have to understand that you are building something for the future.
And my mantra, I say it all the time, you can't sell it if it's not listed. So you cannot have these monster death piles. You can't. You've got to get it listed. And take the time to clean your stuff and make it in presentable. I have a fortune in wash bills water bills, because I wash most things because I want it to be ready to be presented, especially with the toys to a child and not have to have them wait and wash something and, just presentation. But
yeah, you want the buyer to open that package and see this item that is clean that they can use right away. I do feel like people, when they buy clothes online, they're going to wash them again anyway, because they don't know where this came from. But and the plush can be tricky if it's vintage. You don't want it to fall apart, and sometimes you have to hand wash it or surface wash it. But OxyClean is definitely your friend.
Yes.
But I'm like that too. I imagine the buyer opening the package, and what's their reaction going to be? Are they going to be like, ooh, gross, this is so dirty, and they get the final word with feedback. So you want them to be happy. But yeah, I'm with you on get all the cooties off of it before you list it.
I mean, there's certain things I sell, leaving all cleaning to buyer because, there's a paper tag or there's just the tag will, like a lot of the vintage Fisher Price, the tag will fade when you wash it. So there's certain things I just know that's more important than the plush being spotless. And
yeah, they know what it is, but like you'll zoom in to get a photo of that tag and it's all faded and like you can barely make out where it was made or whatever information. But like the Fisher Price cozies and the, is it Play School Snuzzles, like they know what that is. They don't need a tag, which is why your videos are great, because you're showing what these items are. And to the untrained eye, when you're out there just digging through a bin of plush, you have to be able to recognize these, because those, sometimes the tush tag isn't even there, or you just can't read it.
Yep.
Yes, knowledge is power. Okay, well, we're going to wrap this up, and we are ending this on with the word cootie.
Yes.
Remember in school, so-and-so had cooties? I haven't used that word in years, but it seems appropriate for dirty plush. So, and once again, your YouTube channel is
The Rebel Reseller.
So listeners, go check her out. She is a great educator and very experienced, so you will learn a lot. Thank you for coming on, and we will look for you on YouTube.
All right. Well, thank you for having me.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Yes, Rebel definitely knows her stuff, and I am so impressed by how she has grown her business over the years and never given up on eBay. I mean, eBay isn't just a way to make money, it's a way of life. Okay, on to today's trivia question. Since Rebel talked a little bit about jigsaw puzzles, what is the largest puzzle ever assembled? Here's a few seconds to think about it. According to the Guinness Book of World Records, the jigsaw puzzle with the most pieces consisted of 551,232 pieces and was completed with an overall measurement of 48 feet by 76 feet. It was assembled by 1,600 students of the University of Economics of Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam on September 24th, 2011. The jigsaw puzzle depicted a lotus flower with 6 petals. It took the students 17 hours to first break up the 3,132 sections, each containing 176 pieces, into which the jigsaw puzzle had been divided, and then reassemble them to create the puzzle. So that is a pretty giant project. Over 550,000 pieces. Yikes. My head would explode if I had to assemble that. Okay, that is a wrap for episode number 118. Next week, my guest is Lisa in Maryland. Lisa was a coaching client back in 2009, and we have kept in touch all these years. She juggles a full-time job along with eBay and has a pretty busy life. So make sure you tune in for that episode. Thanks everybody for spending the last hour with us. By the way, I received an email last week that this podcast is in the top 3% of business podcasts based on the number of monthly listens and downloads. I'm so proud of that. And thank you, listeners. I am incredibly flattered that so many people love this podcast and it just keeps growing. So I'm sending all of you a great big hug. Have a profitable and productive week. Happy selling, everybody. Bye.